Originally from Steubenville, Ohio, Deacon Jeremiah is a son, a brother, and an uncle. He thought that he was meant to follow in his father's footsteps and enter the academic world of theology. But halfway through his first year of graduate studies, he began to recognize that the Lord may be calling him down a different path. Deacon Jeremiah entered Sacred Heart Major Seminary in 2014, and now on May 21st, 2021, he is to be ordained a priest for the Diocese of Steubenville. Please pray for Deacon Jeremiah and all those to be ordained this year, that their hearts may be conformed to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. This is a Know His Love story.
I took God's love for granted, especially in my first 3 years in college. Freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I would say prayers and go to Mass mostly because of inertia. It's what I had always done growing up with family, praying and going to Mass. So it's what I continue to do with friends. I was kind of drifting along or going through the motions. And every so often, when I would reflect, I guess I thought I was giving God chances. So, for example, I would go to folk guitar masses and praise and worship jam sessions. I even gave the Latin Mass a try. I kept trying new things, and none of it really gelled for me. None of it really clicked. And at the same time, while I was in college, I was also taking a few theology classes. And those two things were very separate. They were very separate tracks, what I was learning and what I was doing. And by the middle of my sophomore year, I actually experienced a crisis of faith. Every time I went to Mass, I had to prove to myself again and again why I believed in the Eucharist. And it was tough. It was kind of exhausting, actually. Um, I was wondering how I could connect not only my head and my heart, but how God could connect with me. God, who is pure spirit, how could he? And what I learned, especially in my senior year, was that God could connect with me through his love. I learned the more I know a person, not just as an idea, but as a person, the more I could love them. And also, the more I know and love someone, the more I can trust them. But I don't want to skip ahead yet. I need to share something about myself. I was full of fear, especially early on in college. Um, an example of that was my singing voice. I wouldn't sing. I would sing to an invisible wall, inches from my mouth. I would avoid. I was afraid anyone would hear me. My senior year, among other things, I began to sing out louder and louder, more and more in praise of God. And I also began to date someone. It was my first serious relationship. And what I found with that was when I was alone, apart from that young lady, my mind would grow full of fears or anxieties or worries. But when I was with her, they would all subside. Now, we broke up after about 6 months. And I realized shortly after that the same dynamic could be in place between me and God. I realized that I had an opportunity to get to know God's love as well. After getting the insight that spending time with God in his presence could help me get to know and love him and just grow to trust him more and more, I began more purposefully, more consciously seeking out those opportunities. So I was with a group of friends, and we were trying to do Catholic things. We would pray a rosary once a week. We'd go to Mass. We even did a walking rosary. But again, just once a week. All these things were once a week. And with that rosary, we would also go to a chapel and do some prayer time there. And what helped me, what changed, was realizing that the God who is love had begun to speak to me. He had begun to invite me to go deeper. So what basically happened was, in chapel, after praying a rosary, I realized that all three persons of the Trinity were involved in my spiritual life. So, for example, my friends and I, it had become more fun for us to do that walking rosary. And walking from the chapel back to our dorm, we would have just more fun than normal. And I realized the Holy Spirit was enabling us, empowering us to have just a more fun, blessed time with each other. And I also realized right then and there, in the chapel, in the presence of the Eucharist, in the tabernacle, that I realized two things. First, that God the Father had been loving me and had been loving someone else through me. In my fraternity, I had mentored uh, a number of pledges, a number of new freshmen. And I realized the Lord showed me how He had loved me and had loved those young guys through me by just honest, frank conversation, by throwing a baseball or tossing a frisbee, college, normal dumb college activities. They had an extra dimension to them because of His love, because of the Father's love in the midst of those activities. And the second thing I realized was that we were praying to Jesus. Jesus was there listening, not just up in the clouds somewhere, but right there, listening to us. Well, it means I am free. It means I'm free from fear in particular. And it's something I just kind of grasp hold of anew uh, very often because, well, life throws all kinds of fears my way. And I find that I can always turn to Him for courage. I can always turn to Him for comfort. And when I need to, He's there for me. I find I have my identity as a beloved son anchored in Him. So not only am I free from fear, I'm also free from needing to earn love. I know who I am. I know I'm loved. I know I don't have to earn it. I don't need to do anything uh, to grasp it. It's there, always there, because He's always there for me. I think I find a meaningful way that God expresses His love is by hearing others' stories. I love a good story. And one of my favorite kinds of stories would be conversion stories. So hearing about how other people have been touched by God, hearing about how they've been loved by God is sometimes just leaves me in awe at the goodness of our Creator. Because He isn't just our Creator, He's our Father. And like a good father, loves us and accompanies us and is ready to listen. I would tell my friend, keep learning. Keep learning good, sound theology, because the more you know about God, the more you can know Him personally. Keep praying, because that gives God opportunities to speak to you. That gives God chances to be personally present to you. And if you can make that connection with God's personal presence in your life, then everything else can make more sense. Everything else can click into place, and perfect love can cast out fear.
Thank you for listening to Deacon Jeremiah's story. I would love to share your story as well. Please connect with us on social media or by clicking on the Join Us link at knowHis.love.